communities and the school in Walnut Grove had given him the background to do all that. So he wanted to give something back to the community, and he wanted me to tell him what the thing should be, and I had to bite my tongue. I couldn't think, and then the only thing I could think of, we were working on the cannon project, and he just jumped at that. And then we were very fortunate that he contributed the most part to the cannon. And then he also gave a donation for new computers for the school. And now there's enough computers for all the kids in the high school. And now a few words about our speaker, Jonathan Alcott. Jonathan is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and until recently he owned his restaurant chain of 13 restaurants. He is the largest supporter of New Life Baptist Cemetery in El Salvador, and a very large supporter of Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina. His name appears on a classroom in the Page Patterson building. The computerized library catalog is named Alcott because he funded the design and installation. He has received the Joseph of Arimathea Award for the library for his generosity not only to the school, but also for helping the students. He currently serves on the Board of Visitors at Southeastern. Jonathan has a passion for art. He has put together an avant-garde collection of North Carolina art that has been on loan to several museums in the Southwest. His love for art spilled over into photography, where he is an award-winning photographer. His work has appeared at shows around the world. He designed contemporary furniture that has been in several galleries in Raleigh. Jonathan is currently writing his memoirs. He has always wanted to be a skydiver. He says only one thing stood in his way. He is terribly afraid of heights. The title of the speech is Stepping Stones. Now help me give an enthusiastic welcome to Jonathan Alcott.
Apparently I did. You know,
I think you're going there.
you know, some rumors die hard. Some die harder than others. Since I've been here, I've heard from 3 different people, did you really hit H.P. Edmondson in the back of the head with a half orange? And I find it strange that Ms. Barton, the superintendent, decided to flee town. Well, I'm not going to tell you whether I did or not, but I will tell you a story surrounding that one. I was down at the end of the hall in the old school building. H.P. Edmondson nabbed me by the arm. He took off down that hallway. His 6-foot strides became 10-foot strides. My feet never touched the floor. I looked like Snoopy in the Thanksgiving Day parade float. I never came down to the floor. He dragged me down the steps to the wood shop. He said, "Jonathan, you're going to get it this time." And I go, "This time?" what could I possibly have ever done in the past? He goes into the wood shop and he said, now just as soon as I find a paddle, you're going to get it. And he looked and looked. I said, right there's 2 good ones. But I didn't say it. Well, the phone in the office rang. He answered the phone and says, I got to go upstairs. You go out and have a seat on the bleachers. I'll be back. When I saw his feet go up those steps, my feet went up those steps. I know how to get away with things. Anyway, I want to thank the alumni members, dignitaries, and I want to thank all of you. And by the way, isn't today your birthday, Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we need to give Jim Cummins a round of applause. In high school, one of my teachers, Mr. Jim Cummins, piqued my interest in plays. He was the director of a play that I was in one year, and I loved it. Over the years, I put together a very nice collection of playwrights. I love reading plays. One of my favorite plays is a play called Elsewhere. And in this scene, a father and son are seated at a 45-degree angle to one another in 2 simple wooden chairs. A lone light shines from above. The audience is at a hush. You can hear a pin drop. Slowly, the son turns his head towards his dad. He says, Dad, I'm thinking about getting a divorce. And the dad, puzzled, and says, what? You've only been married for a little over a year. The son turns his head towards his dad and says, Dad, you've done nothing but complain about Mom for years and years. Why don't you go elsewhere? The dad leaps to his feet and shouts, because there is no elsewhere. There is no elsewhere in life. We deal with where we are. There is no elsewhere. Outside those doors are the sidewalk stones for all the past graduates. Each graduate's name is chiseled into a stone with the date and the class motto. A motto that would serve as an inspiration and direction to their future. Those stones and Walnut Grove gave me everything I needed for my future. Now I'm going to mention some years. Maybe if you graduated those years, hold your hand up so everybody can see. Give it a little holler. If you holler too loud, I want you to move up here so I can keep an eye on you. Okay? Might scare me. Outside those doors, the sidewalk stone speaks from 1962, the year I graduated. The class motto, you get out of life just what you put into it. That has been prophetic to me over the years. Outside that door, the sidewalk speaks from 1994. Success is a journey and not a destination. I remember as a young kid one morning, I jumped on my bike, rode around the house, and all of a sudden, this whatever swept over me and said to stop riding. And I did. And I stood there straddling my bike, trying to figure out what all these thoughts were that was going on in my mind. It was kind of scary. And finally, it came to me crystal clear. One day, you're going to experience many successes. I was about 14 years old. I never doubted it. Not for a minute. And I will tell you that the journey to the successes is what's been the most wonderful part. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 1970. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Did any of you people graduate here? I don't see any hands coming. Oh, okay, great. All right. I left Walnut Grove with $12 in my pocket, with the determination to work hard and to become great. I took my first step towards my elsewhere and my journey in 1962. I left behind my mother, my whole family, and the security and safety of my home. But I left behind a lot more. I left behind the smell of the moist air coming down the alley from the Lager plant's refrigeration. I left behind the smell of denim in the Jones Brothers dry goods store, and the squeaking pine floors at Brim's Hardware, the slamming of the screen door at Glaze's Market. And who can ever forget that cherry phosphate and limeade at Kenny Wheeler's drugstore? It'd be nice to have one right now, wouldn't it? But over the years, I've come to think of Walnut Grove as my neighborhood. A town where everybody knew everybody else, but also a town where people looked out for one another. This is a great neighborhood. I've always loved Walnut Grove. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 1953. We climbed the ladder we built, and that is so true. It's true in business, it's true in relationships. My dad taught me when I was very young that your word is all that you have. Don't ever lose it. In business, I never made promises that I couldn't keep, not one time. My yeses were yes, and my no's were no. I didn't play with people's lives. As a young boy, I was always eager to work. Along with mowing lawns, I delivered newspapers in the morning before school, in the afternoon after school, regardless of the weather, and regardless of Diz Stepp's bullpups chasing me. There were 3 that came after me. I swear they looked like 300. At about the same time, I tried to drive hay in the hayfield at 12 years old. I had to sit on 2 empty coat cases. I couldn't see over the windshield. I barely could reach the pedals. And any of you that's let that clutch out and given it gas, you know what can happen. That thing bucks. And I would topple some hay. I might even throw a guy or 2 off the back. When I did, I could count to 3, that truck door would swing open. This huge hand would reach in and throw me to the ground. I think those hands belonged to Chisholm or Stockton, I'm not sure. But it wasn't long before they suggested I not come back. And I thought to myself, well, already I'm creating work for people at 12 years old. But I wasn't to be kept down. I got on my bike and I went from farmhouse to farmhouse to farmhouse, asking the farmers if I could clean out the stalls in their barn for a quarter. 2 days I learned 2 things. First day, that manure is awfully heavy. The second day, I needed a lesson in wage pricing. The third day, I put the close sign on the business. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 1967. The door to success is labeled push. I was always pushing in my life, always working hard. Excellence was my goal. Failure was not in my vocabulary. My work weeks generally consisted of minimum of 70 hours a week, every week. There is a saying, do what you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. I never worked a day in my life. I would wake up every morning eager to get to doing what I love, and that was the restaurant business. I loved helping the lives of people. I loved satisfying those customers. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 1956. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I never yielded. I was always striving, and I was always seeking. On my 44th birthday, I had the first of what would become 4 heart attacks over the next 20 years. I made a conscious decision, I won't quit. The last one, I drove myself to the hospital. I barely could get up on the bed, or they were helping me, and I heard them say, "We're losing him." It didn't change my goals, didn't change my direction. I was out in 4 days and back at work. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 1984. Knowledge is the wisdom of all good things, and I believe that. At 19, I dropped out of City College in Santa Barbara to go into the restaurant business full time. The restaurant business has been very, very, very good to me. I love it. But I always regretted not finishing school, not getting a degree. At age 45, I went back to school, got an undergraduate degree in biblical studies, while running my multi-million-dollar corporation that employed over 300 people. My days started at 6:30 in the morning and didn't end until 11:30 at night. Every day, 7 days a week for 4 years. And I'm glad I did it. Outside those doors, the sidewalk speaks from 2005. Before you can be old and wise, you must be young and foolish. I'm adding the foolish. Well, all right, there I am back again to that foolish thing. Okay, I hit him, all right? I'm telling you, before NBC ever came up with slow motion, that I just could not believe that orange hit like it did. That hair fluffed out. I'm telling you, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight to behold. My first job in the restaurant business was at an Italian restaurant in Santa Barbara called the Trini's. Gino, John, and Giulio were the owners. Great guys. They were my mentors in the restaurant business. One night, Giulio, call me Johnny. I like that. He said, "Johnny, come here." He said, "I want you to go across the street to Giordano's. I want you to get a pound cake." He gave me a couple of bucks. So I get over there and I look and I look and I look. I'm eager to please Giulio. You know, as I said, I like Giulio. So I looked and I looked and I went back and walked in and he said, "Oh, Johnny, what is taking you so long?" And I said rather proudly as I pulled the chocolate cake from the bag, "You know how long it took me to find a cake that weighed a pound?" I don't remember Glazer's Market ever having a pound cake. And I know my mom never made it. Well, I must not have discouraged them too much, because about a year and a half later, they made me manager of the third restaurant. I wasn't even 21 yet. I had to have other people handle the beer and wine. But they knew that I knew how to run a restaurant. They knew that I knew how to build sales. They knew that I knew how to take care of customers. And I was determined that I was going to hold firm to that business. And I did. I remember one night I was in the kitchen helping the cooks. And I heard all this laughter coming from the back. And I turned around to see what was going on. And this new waitress, older woman, she apparently couldn't find the plastic bibs that we would tie on people eating spaghetti. The dining room was going bonkers. Everybody was laughing. She was slipping toilet seat covers. I looked at that and I said, "You need to learn wisdom and leadership." I just went back to work. The sidewalk speaks from 1965. I love this. There we go. Finally. Bonnie, 1965. I take a lot of meds. They drive me out. Sorry for that. Anyway, that 1965, Reaching for the Stars is in my wheelhouse. I love it. Why? Because I love to do things. I love to live on the edge. I learned to play the piano at 60. Working on my memory. Became award-winning photographer. Put together a great art collection. Several things I don't even remember I've done. Some of them I probably don't remember. But nonetheless, that's what it is about. Reach out of yourself. Enjoy life. Take advantage of it. I've heard people say, well, life passed me by. Life doesn't pass you by. You watch life go by. Of all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these: what might have been. Don't let that be your epitaph, please. Do the things you've always wanted. The sidewalks, the neighborhood of Walnut Grove, speaks to those who will listen. Although I left Walnut Grove, it never left me. I return today with more than $12 in my pocket. But I come back with something far, far more important. I come back with a message. Wherever you go, take Walnut Grove with you. Value what you have here. It's a great town. This last sidewalk stone, I love it. I'm going to use it sometime, either in a speech, maybe the cover of a book, but I love this. 1986. This is about my life. This is about what I wanted you folks to hear. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Is that not about the best thing you could ever think of? I wouldn't have missed this journey or this trip for the world. And that's how you should feel at the end of every day. And I pray you will feel that way at the end of your life. It's never too late. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. I love it. Now listen to this, if you would, please. Isn't it strange that princes and kings and clowns that caper in sawdust rings and common people like you and me are builders of eternity? To each is given a book of rules, a shapeless mass, a bag of tools, to build ere life is flown, a stumbling block or a stepping stone. Thank you very much.